Good evening and welcome to Travel Talk with Lori.
And Bill.
And we're the Choose Fun people tonight because we do like to choose fun. And for us, traveling...
It's fun.
That's right, traveling is fun. So tonight we're going to be talking some more about our Amsterdam River Cruise. But first, there's a few things we'd like to do. First, we'd like to thank our sponsor.
Rocky Mount Toyota.
The home of the great new cars and pre-owned cars.
Yes.
And the lifetime drivetrain warranty.
Yes.
All right, so the other thing we'd like to do is we'd like to mention that when the ban was lifted to not have to test to come back home from being international travel, whether it's Europe or Mexico or down in South America, that did not remove the COVID testing before you board a cruise ship in an American port, okay?
There's a lot of people are confused about that.
There is some rumors today abounding that the CDC is looking at those pre-cruise testing and may take those away. But as of right now, they have not removed them. And there is a lot of confusion when people thinking that on the 12th of June, they just got rid of everything. But they did not, okay? If you're sailing out of American port on a cruise ship, you will have to COVID test unless sometimes in the next 6 months they remove it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just thought we'd let you know. And if they remove it in the next 2 days, well, next week when we come back, we'll be glad to tell you about it. So we try to stay up on all the stuff, but I just don't want people confused. If you're boarding a cruise ship from an American port, you have got to have a COVID test before you board.
And it must be a negative COVID test.
Well, yes, and it has to be a negative test. You're right, okay? Not just a test, but it has to be negative. He is correct, So we're going to get started tonight talking about our couple of days in Belgium. We went to Antwerp and Ghent, and then we did a canal cruise in Bruges.
Yes, that was fun.
And bought chocolate. Oh, that chocolate was wonderful, but you'll see pictures of it. Just thinking about it makes me want to go back and buy chocolate. And so we actually did a walking tour from the ship into Antwerp. So we got to see a lot of buildings with our tour guide. It was Sunday, so on Sunday morning it was pretty dead in Antwerp, and while we were out walking around, there wasn't a lot of people starting. A lot of the places were not open on Sunday morning, so we got to see a lot of closed places. But to me, looking at, and of course you can barely see it, but like that door, I love that door in that building. They had some unusual doors over there, plus the roads were like those, not cobblestones, but...
They were cobblestones.
Okay, so I guess you can see it there. But we saw some very interesting restaurants that were not opened yet that day.
They didn't open until like noon.
Yeah, noon, 1 o'clock, yep, their time. Certainly didn't. But it was nice to see all these buildings that had been there for years and years and years, how well they've been maintained and how tall they were.
Yes. Because in some of those older countries, they paid for the length of how much room their building took, not how tall they went.
Okay, so they could go floor after floor up as long as it was a narrow building at the bottom.
Because they paid for width, and some places they paid for the size of the windows or the size of the doors. So we saw all kinds of sized windows and doors over there.
Yep, and our tour guide also said a lot of times you'll have, it'll be one huge family living in that huge building, but everybody has, like the parents have the ground floor, or they have a business on the ground floor, and then the parents, then the children, then the grandchildren. Sometimes it's the relatives of the parents. So she was just saying sometimes they just all live in that one
And there were some gorgeous doors there.
There were.
And they were thick. They were like 4 inches thick.
So yeah, I was kind of obsessed with the doors. We were walking and it was a little chilly. But that castle is very neat when you see it off at a distance. Now, we couldn't go in that castle because it was some kind of government building.
Yes.
In today, but we were able to take pictures of it, so it was nice.
And we were docked not too far from there.
Yep. Yep, it was a nice little walk. And this is almost right at the beginning where we were coming in. Because we could actually walk through that little archway.
Yes. And that is the Meat Cutters Society right there.
Yes, it was.
They, on the bottom floor, that's where they would bring all the meat and do all the cutting of the meat back in the olden days.
And there was our guide right there. But that thing about the meat cutters was a very interesting story to hear her tell about how they would all meet and cut
And they
meat.
were the richest society in town. So that's why their building was so big.
And it was a big building with some nice windows in it. And then here's another little cafe that was closed. Of course, I kept thinking how cool it would be to sit out there and eat if the weather was warmer.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was not warm.
It was not warm when we were there, but if you were there like now, June, July, August, I imagine it would be a little bit warmer.
Yes.
Of course, we couldn't have seen tulips, but hey. But they just had some very neat looking places to eat. And like I say, to know that people live further up.
Yeah, above all the businesses were residential areas.
So we took a lot of buildings. And I like the cobblestones. So I made sure I documented plenty of that because that's what we walked on. It was not as hard to walk on them as I had thought it would be. Of course, we did have on good shoes.
Yes, we did.
And there's the Irish pub.
They served Guinness.
Yep, they sure do. Of course, they weren't open at all while we were out touring.
And that was another one of the society's buildings there.
But it was some really neat architecture in Antwerp. And you were starting to see some people toward the end starting to mill around.
Yep.
Right here, they were getting ready for that race.
There was a bike race.
Yes.
They were going to be having that afternoon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and so they were getting ready for the bike race.
They were setting up all kinds of road closures and everything else.
Yep, they were. They were, yes. A lot of bikers we saw while we were over.
And that was City Hall there.
Yep, because that's where they were putting up, and that stage they were putting up.
Yep.
Yep.
And the buildings were side by side and very narrow, but pretty tall for their times.
They were. And the windows in some of those windows were huge. Look at how long, not wide, but long they were.
I imagine this time of year, without AC, they needed them.
Well, and of course, we all know in Antwerp, when you go there, they're famous for their Belgian waffles.
Yes,
We actually had Belgian waffles on the river cruise ship.
that morning.
Yeah, and they were not what I thought they were going to be, okay? Because you're used to how we have Belgian waffles here in the United States. So they were nothing like that, but they were so good. We just enjoyed walking around, hearing our guide explain to us everything that was going on. I thought this little statue was unique, the way it's kind of like humped up in the cobblestones.
And it's sitting in front of a church.
Where there was supposed to have been a little boy and his dog
Yep.
that came and got turned away from the church, as the story goes. And so they have depicted him laying out in front of the church. That was just the neatest thing to see for me.
Yes. And
there
there's a close-up of it.
Yeah, and there you can see the little boy and the dog.
And Lori's favorite thing behind her, Belgian
Belgian
chocolate.
I hadn't even noticed that, but it was Belgian chocolates right behind us. Yep.
That's not where we got ours, but
No, but they were selling chocolates there. Yep. We didn't get ours until we were in Bruges. But the buildings were just gorgeous. Were just gorgeous.
that was that cathedral.
Now here we are back on the ship for lunch.
Those were meatballs.
and turkey, I think, or some kind of meat. Something they were carving.
I think it was carved turkey.
And of course, the fruit. The fruit was so good to me on board that ship. All the fresh fruit.
Which was all grown in greenhouses.
Yep, and especially, we always had Coke Zero
Yep.
for lunch. And of course, the favorite at any meal, the ice cream at lunch that they made every day.
They made 2 flavors every single day.
This looks like strawberry, and I don't know what else we had that day.
I think
And-
it was like a chocolate chip.
It could have been, and the other could have been cherry instead of strawberry.
Could have been. All
But
I know is it was good.
It was excellent ice cream that they made on board the ship.
And they made 2 different flavors every day for lunch.
Yep. This is a salad. Their salads were just good, and all their sliced meats, prosciutto. That's the word I couldn't come up with last week on the show, prosciutto. I love that stuff. You're going to see a picture in a minute with it in it. But the salads, this was the Caesar salad at dinner. And the wine. The wine did flow every night at dinner time and at lunch, but we never partook at lunch. This is soup. They had some really good soups. That one was awesome.
They made them fresh every single day. So you
they-
had a different one at lunch than you did at dinner.
Yes, you did, but they had some awesome soups.
Is that the veal?
I think that's the veal. Yep, that's the veal with those potatoes, because that was really good. With that purple cabbage, because you can see it in the back of the
Yep.
picture. Yep, yep.
That cabbage takes hours to prepare.
Now, this was mine, and this didn't turn out the way I thought it would turn out, okay, when the explanation. But it was unusual. It was pasta with cheese and zucchini.
If you say so.
Yes, that's what that was. And, I mean, I tried a whole lot of different things, you know that. This is what I should have got, that mushroom risotto. The couple sitting with us at the table, she ordered that, and she said it was extremely good. She got that the night I got that pasta. And here we are with that.
Dessert that night.
Yeah, and I don't even remember now what it was, but it was wonderful. That was like a caramel kind of ice cream, wasn't
Yes, it was. Salted caramel.
Yep, yep. So that was really good. And of course, all of y'all out there know we're all about the food. Okay, there I am at breakfast the next morning with the prosciutto, and those fried tomatoes with that cheese on top were awesome. Yes, they were awesome. Okay. But I found the bacon to be a little bit saltier than our bacon is here.
It's the way they preserve it.
And of course, plenty of
Fresh pastries every
pastry.
morning.
Yep, yep, and coffee. Coffee. There is the Belgian waffle.
Yep.
There it is. And it was wonderful. But it was different than what we're used to. It wasn't that big waffle that I thought was going to be coming. But it was very good. I think we all tried that. And then this must be lunch that day. That's the sliced turkey right there and the ham. Because that would have been the day you got the hamburger.
Yep.
And here we are leaving Antwerp to head to Ghent. And we just looking out our window, that huge window that we had.
It was basically our balcony and our living area.
Right there in the room, and you just opened up those curtains, and it was just awesome to look out and see what you were passing by on the river.
Yep.
To see some of the buildings we had seen the other side of, and now we were leaving to head to Ghent, so we were seeing all this going down the river.
And that's the police station there.
Yeah, and it was amazing, wasn't it? Yes, that was the police station. That was. You're absolutely right about that. I got several pictures of that because we know having a law enforcement officer in the family,
Yep.
I had to make sure I got several of them. Just like we went to Greece that time, I had to take pictures of the police cars. Now this is the lounge in the
Back aft.
back of the ship where we used to get the coffees and the awesome hot chocolate. And they also had some goodies. They had cookies.
There was always something there to munch on.
Cookies or muffins or something to munch on. But this was a very nice area to visit with friends.
That area right there was inside, and they also had some seating outside, but only the brave went out there because it was so chilly.
But I think we've got some pictures of the outside too. But it was just a nice area on board that ship. Lots of areas to sit comfortably and visit with people.
Yep. And if you went out that door right there, you could climb that ladder and go up on the top deck.
Yep, we didn't get to take advantage of the outdoor
I did.
grill area because they weren't grilling out
No, they
there
weren't.
like they normally
but
do. They
I
normally
went topside to get different pictures.
Yes, you did. But I'm just saying we couldn't take advantage of eating out on that deck because they weren't having food out on that deck. It was so chilly.
And what was so interesting to me was I got to go on the bridge and stay up there. The captain said I could stay up there as long as I wanted to stay up there. While he was cruising down the river, he was talking to us, and he was actually the one steering the ship going down the river.
Which was pretty neat. There's that back area. You can see it a little bit better. They had some big, like, yachts that would be in port there, too.
Yes, they did.
We saw them all along the river. But I can see there's a few of them in the background there.
All kinds of shipbuilding facilities throughout everywhere up there.
Now, this is the front lounge where we used to meet for, where they would discuss what we were going to see the next day. They had like a question and answer part of the time.
And you could also eat lunch up there.
You could if you chose to. They had like a mini version of what we had down in the dining room. I just enjoyed the whole dining room atmosphere.
They had a coffee machine up there.
They did, a coffee machine. They also
Had a bar.
bartenders. Yep. Now, all the wine and beer was free on the ship at lunch and dinner. However, you paid for your mixed drinks.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah, but a very nice area to sit. We took these when it was pretty empty looking so that we could show everybody how well it was, the sofas and the stools.
And
all
those
the,
sofas were comfy.
and all the places to sit. Yes, it was. It was a very nice space. And there I am. I think that was outside, wasn't it?
Yes, it was up forward.
Yep.
We weren't moving at that time.
No, all the layers on. Now this was coffee ice cream. I remember that, okay?
And that was good coffee ice cream.
Because I had to have 2 scoops of that, so I remember that. That was coffee. Wonderful ice cream.
That was one of the consomme soups.
It was, and it was very good. Of course, you know your wife. I'm the soup girl, especially when it was as cold as it was. I'm going to eat me some soup.
Every meal.
Except breakfast.
They didn't offer it at breakfast.
No, lunch and dinner. Well, you know, even on ocean cruising, I get the soups. Now, here we are in Bruges on that Canal Tour.
And that was an open boat.
Yes, and the lady sitting across, you can see a little bit of Bill's ear. But the lady sitting across in that kind of orangey looking coat, She was the tour guide, and she was fantastic. That woman knew everything you would want to know about being in Ghent and Bruges.
And she lived on a boat,
Yeah, houseboat.
houseboat, that her husband had totally redone
Yes.
with her help.
Yep, and it was amazing to hear about it. So we had a fun time. It was a little chilly to me, but we had a fun time. And of course, they provided beer for the canal cruise. Neither one of us partaked of that, so we had sodas.
Coke Zero.
Yep. And then, of course, at the end of this canal tour was the best little surprise for us. So
Yes.
we'll be there in a minute, but this canal was awesome. And of course, you see those buildings, and they're just amazing to me.
Should see the old courthouse. There it is, right there.
Yep.
And the jail was down below, and they would actually use the boats to come up to bring prisoners in and out for trial.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. This was a fantastic trip. And of course, we went under those little overpasses, which was amazing. And sometimes we had to wait for another boat to get through.
Yep.
This is just a great area. That was another one of my favorite buildings there because of the way it looked.
All the
from
windows and the
canal.
architecture.
Yep.
People are out and about. We're coming down towards the center of
Bruges.
Bruges.
It was a nice experience, though.
And that was the guy that was the tax man back in the day. That's
Yes.
where his fortified castle was.
It was, yes, it was. And it was huge. That was a huge place. And to think that the tax man lived there.
They also had cannon
Now,
slots.
here we are, we went to it wasn't a pub, but what do they call this little place?
It was like a cafe.
Okay, it was a cafe. And they provided free beer there, but of course we got Coke Zero.
It was a pub.
It was a pub, okay. It was a pub.
Pub and cafe.
Yep. And so the neat little surprise is coming up in a minute because we didn't know we were getting these there. But the drink was really good to me. There's the menu of the cafe we were in.
They probably had a couple of hundred different types of.
And they surprised us with Belgium fries. And those things were awesome. And the tour guide told us the reason they're so good is because they fry them, they put them in the cooler, the refrigerator to cool them, and then they refry them. Those things were just amazing. But it was such a surprise to get fries. So we had Cokes and fries and enjoyed it. And then came the chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are in the chocolate store, the Belgium chocolate, and this place was just amazing to me. I mean, I could have brought everything we saw back, but because we were there right around Easter, these were little Easter bunnies. And I thought they were so cute.
And they weren't priced too bad. That was €2.20.
And of course, we got to see lots of chocolates they had out for Easter. But we also got to sample a couple of chocolates, and then of course we bought. Oh man, that chocolate was so good.
€32 worth of chocolates is what we bought.
Yep, we got caramel and white chocolate, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yep, and of course, we did make it home with a few pieces.
Not many.
And then of course, it was gone. But it was really good chocolate. But they had chocolate eggs, they had chocolate everything for Easter. It was the cutest stuff. They had them all up in bags.
People were dropping some money in that place.
Yes, they were. And these are the chefs we had on board the ship. The one guy with the taller hat was
He was the executive chef.
executive chef, and he was training this guy to make omelets. So they were really nice to us every morning, fresh omelets.
And you told them what you wanted in it.
And they put it in. It was amazing. Those omelets were so good.
They would saute everything you wanted first in the pan and then pour the eggs over it and make it that way.
Well, I think we've pretty much talked our whole time out. So I think it's time to end it right here on a good note. We just saw the chefs who prepared all that wonderful food for us. So we're going to be back next week. We may be out next week, but the next week we're here. We're going to be talking about the last few days of our river cruise and all the fun, and we'll be showing those pictures because as we know, it goes by quick, and before you know it, you're at the airport flying home.
Yes, you are.
So y'all have a really good week. If you're interested in traveling anywhere in the state, outside the state, internationally, please give us a call at Coffee Mug Travel, and we'll be glad to work with you. We've seen a lot, and we've got a lot of trips planned.
The phone number is 252-379-1581.
So y'all have a good week, and we'll see you back whether it's next Tuesday night or the next Tuesday night.
Y'all have a great week. Thank you.